You know, every single year, companies pour a ton of money into employee training. But what if I told you that a huge chunk of that money is, well, basically just going down the drain? Today, we're going to flip that whole idea on its head. We're going to look at how to stop seeing training as just another expense on a spreadsheet and start treating it like the powerhouse strategic investment it's meant to be. Let's jump in.
All right, first, just look at this number, $100 billion. I mean, really let that sink in for a second. That's a staggering amount of cash.
So the big question is, what on earth are U.S. companies spending that kind of money on year after year? You might think, okay, maybe marketing or some cutting-edge research and development. What could it be?
Well, the answer is employee training. And with a price tag that high, you have to ask the tough question. Is that money actually doing anything? Or is it just disappearing into this black hole of programs that sound good but don't actually work? That's exactly what we're here to figure out.
And to really get why this is so critical, let's dive into a real-world story. It's a classic problem in business. I like to call it the case of the brilliant jerks.
So picture this. There's this company, BioSense-Webster, and they have some of the smartest, most technically skilled employees you could imagine, absolute masters of their complex medical technology. But, and this is a big but, there was a huge problem. Their customers, these are physicians, mind you, found them so difficult and unpleasant to work with that they actually started canceling their contracts.
And this quote just says it all, doesn't it? It wasn't a lack of technical knowledge that was costing the business. It was a total lack of soft skills. They had the what to do down perfectly, but they were completely failing at the how to do it. And that right there is where training stops being a nice to have and becomes an absolute survival tool.
So how do you fix a problem like that? Well, you definitely don't just throw some random workshop at it and hope for the best. No, you need a strategy. You need a real blueprint that takes you from that knee-jerk reaction to a thoughtful, deliberate design.
And that blueprint actually has a name. It's called instructional design. And it's not about making pretty slides or giving lectures. It is a rigorous, systematic process for really digging into a problem and building a training solution that actually solves it. It's the difference between just guessing and actually knowing you're on the right track.
What this process gives us is a super clear roadmap. It's a system, right? It's built on 5 distinct stages that guide you all the way from having this vague problem to having a training program that delivers real, measurable results.
So it all kicks off with assessing what the real needs are. Then, you've got to make sure everyone is actually ready and open to the training. After that, you get into the nitty-gritty of planning and designing the program. Then, you implement it. And finally, and honestly, this is the step that most companies just skip, you have to rigorously evaluate the results to prove that it worked. That very first step, the needs assessment, is basically like a doctor's diagnosis. You wouldn't prescribe a treatment without one, right? You have to look at the big picture, the organization's goals. Then you zoom in on the individual employees and their current skills, and finally, you get granular and look at the specific tasks they need to do. It's only after you've done all that that you truly get what problem you're trying to solve.
Okay, so once you've diagnosed the problem, now it's time to open up the toolkit and pick the right tool for the job. Because, and this is key, not all training methods are created equal.
So what are most companies actually doing? Well, it's probably no surprise that online and virtual stuff is way up there at the top of the list. But here's the thing you have to remember. The most popular tool isn't always the right tool.
The principle here is really simple. The method has to match the need. I mean, think about it. You wouldn't teach a carpenter how to build a chair using a PowerPoint deck, would you? And you're definitely not going to train a pilot on a new jet through a webinar. For things like high-stakes decisions, you need things like simulations where you can practice in a risk-free environment. There's just no one-size-fits-all solution here.
And that brings us to what might be the most important part of this whole thing. After all that analysis and the planning and spending all that money, how do you actually prove it was worth it? How do you measure the real impact?
It sounds like such a simple question, but it's one that way too many organizations just don't answer. Did people just like the free coffee and donuts? Or did their behavior on the job actually change? Did the company's bottom line actually improve?
A really good evaluation measures success on 5 different levels. You start with the basics, like, hey, did people enjoy it? But then you have to dig deeper. Did they actually learn anything new? Can they use these new skills on the job? Is it making their performance better? And then you get to the million-dollar question. Did the company get a positive return on investment? And let me tell you, when you get this right, the results can be just mind-blowing. There was this one utility company that followed this whole process to train their account advisors. They calculated their return on investment at, get this, 1,500%. That is not a cost, that is a massive, game-changing investment.
Now, everything we've talked about so far has been laser-focused on improving how an employee does their current job. But the truly great companies, they think bigger. They're thinking about the long game, the career of tomorrow.
And that right there is the crucial difference between training and development. See, training is tactical. It's about fixing a problem today. Development is strategic. It's all about tomorrow. It's about getting employees ready for future roles, new challenges, and helping them grow their entire career right there within the company.
So what does real development even look like? Well, it's not just one thing. It's this rich mix of 4 key ingredients. Yeah, you've got your formal education, but you also need honest assessments of people's strengths, a wide variety of on-the-job experiences, and, this is a big one, those interpersonal relationships, like having a great mentor or a coach.
And all of this brings us to one last, really important question that I think you should ask about your own career. Is your organization just investing in how well you do your job today, or are they truly investing in your potential for tomorrow? Because honestly, the answer to that question could define your entire future.